Bohn joined now by Duncan, who's coming off a huge win at UFC Paris. One of the crazier submission finishes we've seen in a while. Performance of the night bonus. Imagine that was one of the better nights of your career, Chris.
Yeah, for sure. Especially when I got the news as well. Obviously getting the bonus, it's absolutely life changing. Everything kind of came to fruition, and just happy to be home now. And the good thing about Paris is it's very close to home, so it was a quick flight home in the morning to see the family. I'm now back to normal life for a little bit.
Yeah, right. Why in particular was like this bonus at this time so life changing for you? Because I know like anyone in your position in the UFC, I can understand why getting that would be significant for your life. But I saw a lot of things on the Instagram stories and from your manager and team and stuff, kind of pushing for that. What made this moment so important for you?
Well, to be totally honest with you, off my last two fights, I was dealing with some injuries. And then obviously pulling out of my last fight against Naz, I had a really bad staph infection. So unfortunately, I'm a father first. I need to make sure I have looked after my family at all times. So I then had to go back to work just to assure that my family were safe and we were never going to be short of money or being able to not pay our bills. So I had to go back to work a little bit, which is not always good, especially when you're a full-time athlete fighting in the highest, well, the most prestigious mixed martial arts event in the world. So after getting my new contract that my manager had fixed and the bonus, I've changed my life and my family's life forever.
That's amazing, man. Congratulations on that. What was
Thank
the
you.
work you were doing to kind of hold yourself over?
So a little bit of personal training and some security in some nightclubs.
Okay.
Shout out to Vet Security. They gave me a job and helped me get through the tough time that I had to get through. Don't get me wrong, I hated every minute of it, but we got to get it done. I'm a father first, so we're on it now. We're on it now.
For sure. How many kids do you have?
I have two, so I have a 3-year-old and a 3-year-old and a 3-month-old. So they're
Yeah.
one's really young, so I've missed a big chunk of his latter years, the younger years. Kind of lucky, kind of not lucky. It's just like you miss some crying and some stressful events. But I'm now back home and going to give my family my tender love and care.
For sure. No, that's a great message. Obviously, a great father, man, and doing what you need to do. How much more challenging did this make getting the appropriate training camp in for a fight like this when you're kind of dealing with all that stuff on the side?
Well, that's mainly why I done it, because I know how much it costs and I know how much it takes to be the best. I train with the best guys in the world at American Top Team. So if I do not go to American Top Team, I'm cutting myself short. So if I ever not go to the American Top Team, I know I'm like not doing the right thing. There's going to be maybe times, that say I don't have a visa or I can't do it, and that's totally without my control. I'll have to go somewhere else and train, whether it be Thailand or whether it be down to London to Brad Pickett's gym at London. These things are not controllable, so like that's something that I can't control. But at the moment, I have my visa and I can go over and I can train there as much as I want. So that's fine. So I made the tough decision to go and just do that, and I will do that every time when possible.
Okay, no, that's the right plan given the circumstances. Okay, so what the hell happened in the fight here with this finishing submission? I mean, this was obviously a very kind of bizarre sequence and stuff. As you look back and watch the replays and think about it, more distance from actual fight night, what do you think
Yeah,
happened there?
yeah. So guillotines and stuff like that are a massive part of my game. I'm very good at them. Anybody who I train with know I have a good guillotine. And you can kind of see me at the kind of latter part of the fight, reaching for it a little bit, trying to snap his head down and get him down. But when he shot, well, when he tried to like drop down onto my legs and outside trip me, when you drop to your knees, your level drops and your shoulders go lower than my shoulders. So it's easy for me to pull my arm out and then snap up that neck Once I snapped up the neck, because the way we landed, I ended up going full guard. I tend to not like going full guard with it, because what happens is you're committed to that, and then the only escape from that is, well, it's not the only escape, but the main escape from that is to let go, frame, push on the hips, and then get back to your feet. And I remember being in that moment. Like, I've trained with the best guys in the world, and I went with them and tapped them and stuff like that. And I remember being in there and having it locked up and feeling how tight my hands were and where his chin was. And I said to myself, why is this guy not tapping? I was like, I have tapped every person I have ever trained with this submission, and this guy is not tapping. And then Thiago Alves was in my corner. He had said, he's like, Chris, if it's not on, you need to move on. You can't just sit here and hold on to his neck. So the next part was let go, put my hand on the back of his head to slow down his posturing so he can't punch me straight away or elbow me. Then I let go of his head, and I was ready for him to posture up. And I was like, he's resting. He's trying to rest. He's tired. But then I punched him twice, and I was like, he's out. I was like, oh. So I didn't even know he was out, but because he was so out, I think he was just lying on me, and I didn't realise. So thank God he tapped as well, because my arms were fucking tired as well.
Yeah, and thank God he didn't wake up before the referee noticed, right? I don't know what kind of weirdness we would have had if that moment kind of played out. Have you ever had a moment where you had to like yell at the referee? Like, if you didn't say anything, I wonder how long it would have taken him to kind of figure that out for himself.
You know what? Thinking about it, imagine if I just went die hard on that neck and I just hung on for dear life and just keep squeezing and keep squeezing. You know, that could have been another 30 seconds I could hold on to that.
Yeah.
I'm probably the one that would let go early to get back to my feet and start again. So he's probably lucky that happened. And I don't think the video gives it credit or whatever, but the guy was out for a long time. So like, he was on his hands and knees and his arms were locked out, and he was, I don't know how long it would have been, maybe 45 to a minute. He was unconscious. So obviously you don't get to see that because the clips clip off him and on him. So
yeah,
but yeah, hats off to him for not tapping, because that was on tight, and I think he would have been out a lot quicker than a lot of people would think as well. You know, I think his body was going off just sheer autopilot, and he was fighting it and stuff like that, because the feeling that I got from him was he was continuously fighting the whole way through. Mm-hmm. And when I let go, that's when his body went limp. So I think he was out for quite a significant amount of time.
Yeah, you broke it down really well there, but yeah, I guess that last moment, like when you feel someone limp on you like that, I'm sure it's not a common feeling. You probably know you're tensing up and using strength, and you know when they're limp.
Yeah. Well, I actually thought when I gave him 2 punches, because what happened, because he was so flat on my chest, I thought he was like hanging on to me because he was so tight. And I thought to myself, I need to punch him for him to posture up, so then I can get my feet on his hips. And when I punched him, there was no movement. And I was like, oh, he's definitely out. And his head was like jelly, you know. So it was a bit of a weird situation. But in the end, they got me 50 G's. So I'm happy with that.
Yeah, it's got to be a weird feeling when you won the fight and there's just like a body on top of you, right? You got to climb up from under there and stuff.
That's why I was laughing, because like after the fight, I was like, I can't believe that guy just fucking went out like that. That's fucking insane. Like, like obviously people tap and people go out, but it was just the way he was like still on top of me. It was just like, that's why I was laughing. I was like, he just went out. What the fuck?
And, that's wild. So I mean, you were obviously early on in the card. You're kind of hanging out, watching the fights and everything. When do you actually get the news that like you got the bonus? What were you doing?
So, believe it or not, I'd left really early because one of my teammates, Robert Whiteford, had been fighting on PFL at the time. So, I'd left super early. We'd end up watching that fight, and the boys we were with, they were like, let's go get some food. So, we went to a kebab shop, and I've got some videos on my phone. When I went into the kebab shop, they'd actually had the UFC on replay. So, I walked into the shop, and we were ordering some kebabs, and my fight came on. And then, like, people were like pointing at me, and then we were videoing it, and then the whole kebab shop was like, there was about maybe 20 to 30 people in there, and when I won and they raised my hand at the end, they were all cheering and stuff like that. And then I remember my friend coming over to me, he's like, Chris, he's like, I think you've won the 50k. And prior to that, I'd actually turned all the notifications off on my phone because I didn't want any distractions going into the fight. He's like, "You've won 50 grand," and one of my mates is videoing me, and I'm like, "Nah, 100%, like double check." And then he's going on Wikipedia, he's going on all these different sites, he's going on to like Google and typing it in, and it's all coming up. And then I just broke down into tears in a kebab shop, and then all the people that were watching me and laughing and cheering, were all watching me crying. And so it's like such a mixed emotions, and it's in the middle of this kebab shop, like in the middle of nowhere in France, which is insane. So these stories are a massive part of the journey, and 100%. Sometimes you've just got to take yourself back and enjoy these moments.
Yeah, I'd love to see those videos. Send them to your manager Brian Butler, and he'll get
them. I will do. Yeah, I will.
Yeah, that's very cool, man. Yeah, you mentioned the PFL event. Is it kind of weird? Like, obviously, scheduling just turned out weird with your fight being on that same date. There's a big event in Glasgow. Like, but when you like get to see that the PFL's doing that show over there, it seemed to go well. Does that feel like MMA is growing quite a bit in Scotland as we speak?
Oh, mate, it's through the roof. Like, I train with Robert Whiteford. I don't know if you know Robert Whiteford, but Robert Whiteford has been a training partner of mine since literally probably about 2014 or 15. Like I was just a raw amateur at the time that wouldn't leave him alone. I just wanted to train with him because he was in the UFC, and he was kind of like pushing me to the side and not really saying much. And then I eventually got my chance to train with him, and being able to train alongside him has been an absolute godsend, and I'm forever grateful for what that guy's done for me in my career. And I was probably more nervous for his fight than I was my own fight, not because I didn't believe in his skill set or him in himself. It's because I want him to do so well, because I feel for him. It's I remember watching the fight. I was in the restaurant, and obviously my fight was early, so I was back in the hotel super early. There was no one in the hotel, and I've got my phone set up like this, and I'm just screaming at the phone, like just stupid stuff. Like, if I seen somebody do that, I'd be like, what is this guy all about? But because I got so emotionally involved with Robert, it meant so much for him to win. And watching his performance, man, it was absolutely flawless against an absolute veteran like Roger Huerta. It was incredible to watch. And now we've both came back with a packet full of cash and 2 wins, and we're both home with our family. It's just put the icing on the cake,
Yeah, that must just be the stuff of dreams, right? That you just can only picture in your head, and when it comes to life, it's that much better.
Yeah. The only thing I'm jealous about Robert Whiteford is he's now fought twice in the Hydro, right. And I've fought no times in the Hydro, and that's in Scotland. So that's something I need to tick off my list at some point. So I'm going to try and get myself these great performance, good matchups, and then try and bring the UFC Scotland back, because we've only got 2 of us in the UFC, Paul Craig and myself right now. So I'm the next up and coming guy, so I'm ready to put a show on the road.
For sure. I mean, if Paul beats Bo Nickel, I think that's the type of win that would get you a main event on your home soil. So
yeah, I think so. Yeah,
yeah, definitely, man. All right, like a couple last things before I get you out of here. Just, I know the win's still fresh and everything. You're reveling in the family time, but do you think about when you want to get back in there? I know we don't know the schedule it's going to be like now. If they're doing less Apex shows, it sounds like there might be more events on the road, but I would assume the next thing in your area would be like a March London show or something like that.
Yeah. I think my area is probably out of the question. The only thing I have on my calendar right now is my sister's wedding in February. So if I could get something December, January time, we could sort something out. But I'll get on my manager. I'll get away on a holiday this kind of coming week. Enjoy time with the family and stay in shape. I'm starting to become a little bit more professional as the time goes on, and I'm not getting out of shape and stuff like that. So the only thing I will be asking is, like, I took this fight on probably about 5 to 6 week notice. I need a little bit more time. I'm a big lightweight. We've seen how big I was in comparison to Oki in there. I did look like a giant. I didn't feel like a giant standing in front of him because your brain plays a little trick on you. But looking back now, I'm like, Jesus Christ, I'm massive compared to him. So, I'm going to need to give myself a little bit more time to get down to that weight, because I had a pretty significant cut when it came to the day before. But the performance, said it all. I was prime physical condition going into that fight.
Yeah, of course. Any names out there in this division kind of catch your eye, or think you'd be a fun fight right now?
To be totally honest with you, man, like they're all going to get it at some point, so it doesn't really matter to me. Obviously, seeing fights get away from me, things like Terence McKinney and Naz and stuff like that, that's something that I don't like to see, because I'm true to my word and I'm a fighter's fighter. And believe it or not, I seen Ray Longo at the event in Paris. There, he was there with Matt Frivola, and I said to him, "Can you tell Naz that I'm sorry that I pulled out because of the staph infection?" But these fights that are already been made are something that I would like to get back due to my kind of pulling out and stuff like that. But to be honest with you, man, I don't think I really get a say. Being as low level I am, I'm right at the bottom of the pecking order when it comes to fighting. I'm nowhere near the kind of level of these guys at top 10. So I think just take the fights that they put in front of me and do really well without being stupid, and taking stuff on really late notice and cutting too much too early like I did previously.
Yeah, that seems like a good strategy. And I mean, you mentioned those names that they already tried to match you up with. Like, those are the kind of people you want to be fighting anyways. So I think they have an idea the type of things they want to do with you, and they're not bad matchups. So I think just put your trust in their hands, I guess.
Yeah, styles make fights, and Sean Shelby's the man to make fights. He's a specialist, and I've never turned down a fight in my life, and I'm happy to step up and fight anybody. And I believe in my skill set, and I believe in my team and my coaches. So it's just this journey I'm on now, man, and I'm getting better every time. And I'll even learn something as quick as that fight was. I learned a lot about myself in the moment there, and I was very, very clinical and very clear. And we knew he had a fast jab, and we knew he was going to probably be a lot faster than us, which he was. So it was all prepared. I just need to set things up a little bit better and just get my timing a little bit better and a little bit quicker.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it was a great win, man. I think you're on the ballot for our submission of the month for September. You might get beat out by Stevie Ray's Twister, but we'll see what happens. But either way, you guys are representing. So it was a good month for the Scottish.
Oh man, even better. Like, he's done that twice now, and one Anthony Pettis is fucking insane. So, and I can guarantee there'll be more guillotines and more submissions from myself. People haven't seen that part of my game yet. So, if anybody wants to try and take me down, feel free.
Let's go. That's a great closing message. All right, Chris, thank you for doing this. And obviously, congratulations on the win and the bonus and everything. This seems like a great building block to kind of take things to the next level. So I hope you get to enjoy it and enjoy that family time, man.
No, thank you. And thanks for your time. Thank you.
Of course. Have a great night. Thank you.
Thanks, mate. Bye now.